So yesterday, Dan Patrick had Charles Barkley on. Now, Barkley is dancing with the LIV Tour. He's already confirmed that he's had dinner with Greg Norman. He claims that there was no offer made at the time of the dinner, but he is going to be playing in the Pro-Am event for the tour event that's going to take place at Trump's Club in New Jersey this weekend. So he's going to play on Thursday at this event. And what you're going to hear is one of the most compelling interview subjects, because Barkley's great, whether he's being interviewed, whether he's on TV, he just gets it. And you'll hear at one point, Patrick, who knows TV inside and out, says Barkley is maybe the most underpaid analyst in the business. He's that good. And what this is about is, if you get the gist of it for me in this conversation, which was about 20 minutes, I'm going to play 3 chunks of it. In this conversation, it sounds like Barkley is saying everybody has his price. Now, he's not, going to stand on a box and say the LIV Tour is evil. That's whether he signs with them or not. Well, obviously, if he signs with them, he's not going to say that. But even if he doesn't sign with them, he's not going to say that. But he is weighing a lot of things, like the popularity that he's built up, which is enormous, and all the commercials that he has. Those will go away. He says that. But the takeaway for me is, he has his price, which is, something I can't respect from Charles Barkley. But listen to Barkley and listen just as much to Dan Patrick, who asks every pertinent question about this decision that Charles Barkley is about to make. The decision to take the money to go to the LIV Tour or stay where he is handsomely paid for Turner, the pregame and postgame show that he does for the NBA, plus all the commercials. This is Barkley answering the question, what goes into this decision, whether or not to join the LIV Tour?
Man, I love TNT. I love Ernie, Kenny, and Shaq, and everybody who works down there. But if those dudes do something crazy at me, I have to listen. I mean, listen, and I'm not going to get on here and say it's not about the money. Of course it's about the money. I think a bunch of the LIV guys, they're so terrified to say it's about the money. It's all right that everybody's taking a job for money, but they're so afraid that, first of all, people are going to talk bad about you anyway, a certain percentage. But most people I talk to, my close confidant, they're like, no, man, you got to sit down with them, listen what they are offering. And before I know you love TNT, but, they're giving guys $200 million, $150 million, $125 million. I'd be stupid not to listen to that conversation.
What kind of offer do you think that it would take for you to leave?
Oh, it would be astronomical.
But like what?
Well, Dan, I'm blessed to make a lot of money.
But let's say you made $25, 30, like $40 million a year. Am I in the ballpark of what you expect to get or you think they'll offer?
I don't know the answer to that question. They know how much money I make. So, because, I have to factor in this, okay? There's a couple things. Number one, I have 3 years left on my TNT deal, okay? And I'm probably going to lose all my commercials. So those are 2 big things. If I had to lose my TNT gig, that would hurt me a lot. But I'm also going to lose my commercials. And listen, let's be realistic. I'm not sure how the public is going to get about as far as the commercial thing. I might not get commercials anymore because so it's a lot that goes into it. But man, I love my job, but I had to take the meeting.
What did TNT say about you staying there and doing both?
We have not had any conversations, not one. To be honest with you, Dan, they've been very quiet. But this is the thing. LIV has not offered me anything. So everything is really just speculation right now. Like I say, we just had dinner. He asked me, was I interested? I said yes. And he said, I'll get back to you. And I'm planning their Pro-Am Thursday up in New Jersey. But like I say, I'm not, unless they come at me with something crazy, I'm not leaving TNT. I love my job at TNT.
What's the criticism that hurts the most?
Oh, there's no criticism. I don't do with this selective prosecution about things, people, the public. Everybody picks and chooses. I just think it's funny they're more worried about civil rights in Saudi Arabia, a place 99.9% of people in the United States have never been. And all of a sudden they're worried about civil rights in Saudi Arabia. That kind of gives me a chuckle. I said, you don't worry about civil rights of people here in the United States. But all of a sudden when guys start taking money, they're like, well, I'm worried about civil rights in Saudi Arabia. And that just makes me laugh. I said, why don't y'all get worried about civil rights here in the United States? Let's worry about that before we worry about what's going on in Saudi Arabia.
I understand what you're saying about Saudi Arabia and China. I know you're a Nike spokesperson, and with Nike in China. I think the Saudis with 9/11 hits home with people, for a lot of people. I think that's different. People haven't been to China, won't go to China, haven't been to Saudi Arabia, won't go to Saudi Arabia. 9/11, where 15 of the 18 involved in 9/11 were Saudis.
Yeah.
That's the criticism.
Well, from the 9/11 families.
Yes.
And they have the right to say that, and I understand that. But I don't think the rest of America is thinking like that. Listen, that's a fair criticism for the 9/11 families. That was the worst day in United States history, and I understand that. But I don't think it's fair for them to pin all that on these golfers. That's not fair. I mean, our government still does business over there. And then you talk about these people who ain't never been to China. They buying up all this Chinese stuff. So don't act like, they're going to take the moral high ground. I mean, we can't even get a car in this country because all the chips are made in China. So I don't want to have selective. Like, I understand the 9/11 families. They have the right to have their opinion. But I don't think it's fair to blame these golfers who are just trying to play golf. They're not making a political statement. So, hey, I understand it, but these guys, hey, they're independent contractors, and they have to make money any way they want to, and it's up to them.
All right, so I find Charles to be a bit hypocritical here, as maybe you do. I don't know. When he talks about the civil rights in Saudi Arabia, realize this. He's been outspoken about this, supporting gay and lesbian rights. He has been outspoken about that. That doesn't fly in Saudi Arabia. You can't get away with that. And when he talks about the money and how he would lose his endorsements if he did this, well, you know what? Why aren't you standing on the principle of you should be allowed to do this? Why wouldn't you say to Dan Patrick, no? Why would I lose my endorsements? I'm not doing anything wrong here. I'm just doing something that is going to be very lucrative to me. I mean, he's open about the fact that he would take the job for money. Okay, I respect that to some degree, but don't shed your principles and then just defend them by saying, well, what about the civil rights in this country? Yeah, the civil rights is a problem here, but it's a far worse problem over there. And some of the things that you are freely able to say here, you can't say over there. So, that's how I feel about that. Barkley is entitled to do what he wants to do if he goes there, and I guess he understands that the things that would go along with it. It just seems like at his stage of the game, with the money he makes, and you're going to hear Patrick get into what the dollar is. Patrick did a really good job of honing in on what exactly his salary is at TNT. It seems to me, when you're making that kind of money, that you would never in your life. Barkley's in his late 50s, I guess, maybe even 60s. You'd never have to think about money again, and whether or not you go to the Saudi tour or not. I mean, how much is your life going to improve if you're making 3 times what you're making now? If you're making, and Patrick will get into it, it seems to be in the neighborhood of $20 million a year, and that's, I think, even before the endorsements. So, I mean, how much better can you live on $60 million a year than $20 million? Maybe you can. I don't know. Maybe there are things that he wants to do, but it seems like a lot to give up for where he stands now in the culture and where he stands as a broadcaster, going someplace who would, he's, I give him some credit for this. He's doing it just for the money. Now, this is about the LIV Tour. And the defense, well, it's more than just money because they're doing things to grow the game. How so, Charles?
Well, I think they have some interesting concepts. They talked about, the main proponent of the LIV Tour is the team aspect. So I think, and I know that the PGA Tour is actually trying to start a team competition. LIV just got a head start on them. And also at their tournaments, they're really trying to bring in a younger demographic. We talked about at the dinner that the average age of a PGA fan is like 60, 61. This will be my first time going to a tournament. They play loud music. They have people having fun. They're trying to reach to a younger demographic. So I think that would grow the game if they get to a younger demographic because, golf we can't survive on old fans. So like I say, I don't judge these guys for taking the money. Like I say, criticisms come with it. I mean, that's criticisms come with everything. But for me personally, I'm glad I took the meeting. I'm looking forward to playing golf with a couple of my friends Thursday, and I'm just going to play golf. It has nothing to do with politics or anything like that. And if anybody get mad, they'll get over it.
Well, okay. The loud music, it really is that how you're going to draw young fans to the game? Maybe. I don't play golf. I like to watch golf, especially the majors on TV. But turning it into like a beach festival, is that really what it's about? And, it's 54 holes. There have been those who are outspoken about this. No, you got to play the grind, the whole 72, and there's no cut and other things that make this a whole lot different than the competition of the PGA Tour. It's much more of an exhibition. And, yeah, I mean, somebody's going to pay you hundreds of millions of dollars to play 15 events a year. Yeah, it seems like a no-brainer, but there's so much more to it than that. And if you are an athlete and if you are a competitor, don't you want more than just what is a money grab? Now, this is the news-making part of this interview. This was where he hones in on what Barkley is making now and when he will make his decision on whether or not to join the LIV Tour, presumably as a television broadcaster, though, they don't have a TV deal now. They do it on streaming and YouTube and things like that. But this is Barkley with Dan Patrick on the asking price that Barkley has to leave his great gig at TNT and, as he says, probably leave behind the commercials.
There has to be an asking price, right? You said, hey, this is about the money. Right? Is that what this is going to be based on? If Greg Norman comes back and says, here's our offer.
Well, listen. Okay, let me give an example. I know most of the numbers that's been reported. I know, somebody say Phil Mickelson got $200 million. I'm like, you take that money. Somebody said Dustin Johnson got $150 million and Bryson and Brooks. I'm like, $150 million to play golf 15 times a year? I have no problem with those guys taking that money. And if they offer me something crazy, I'm going to take it too.
What's crazy?
Well, consider how much money I make now. It would take a really huge number for me to give up my life right now. I mean, I'm not going to give up my life for... I don't like talking about how much money I
make. Okay, so let's say you make $20 million total, endorsements and TNT.
That's fair.
That's fair. I might be a little high on that. Let's say.
Well, just for the record, you're not. Okay, let's get that out the way.
Okay. All right, so I'm in the ballpark. Right?
Yeah, you number one, you sitting on the front row, brother.
Okay, all right. So let's say they come back and they go, we're going to triple
it. And let me tell you, well, next time, if they triple it, and next time I'm on your show,
yeah,
the first question better be, Charles, what are we celebrating at tonight? That should be your first question. That should be your first question if they triple what I'm making now. Your first question should be, hey, Charles, where's the party tonight? And then you can ask me a second question after that.
Okay, but you're more valuable than some of these golfers who are getting – I think you're the most underpaid analyst in sports. You're already generating publicity for the LIV Tour, and you're not even on the LIV Tour. And if so you're more valuable than Bryson DeChambeau or Patrick Reed. Dustin Johnson. I mean, that's where, if it's not $60 million, then what are you doing? I mean, you're worth that.
I said, Dan, I'm just sitting back waiting. I'm just sitting back waiting. They haven't offered me anything.
I can't believe they haven't made you an offer. If Greg Norman sat down to dinner with you in Atlanta at that Italian restaurant.
Dan, if he made me an offer, I would have made a decision by now.
Well, he might have made an offer and you go, nope, you're going to have to do better than 50.
Well, I'm saying, I'm not in a rush. I got a job.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
But listen, Dan.
Okay. What's your role on this tour? You don't have a TV deal.
Well, they're going to get a TV deal. I'm pretty sure of that.
With who?
I don't know the answer to that question, but I'm pretty sure they're going to get a
Greg
TV
Norman
deal.
had to tell you that. You had to
No,
say,
he didn't.
Greg, where are we going to be able to have people see us?
Well, I'll tell you what's really funny. This is how full of crap everybody is. Number one, there's no doubt in my mind TV networks are calling him. They're just afraid to pull the trigger.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you how I know the answer to that question. When the story broke that I was going to meet with Greg, I had 15 or more prominent announcers call me saying, Chuck, I've been talking to LIV. We're scared to pull the trigger. The only one who's actually pulled the trigger is David Faraday.
Yeah.
So I know they've been talking to 10 to 15 to 20 big time. I'm not talking about no local dudes. I'm not talking about no regional dudes. I'm talking about some of the most famous announcers in the world. Call me privately and says, Chuck, what do you think? I said, yo, man, when they make me an offer, I will be the first to let America know. But they haven't offered me anything. They said, man, we are terrified to go first. And the only guy had the stone to go is David Faraday. But they're talking to, so I know, like I say, he did not tell me a TV deal was imminent, but he says we're talking to networks, and I think they will get a deal. I think they will get a deal by the end of this year. I truly believe that.
What's the time frame? Did Greg Norman say when I'll get back to you?
Well, I'm going to give them a deadline.
What's that going to be?
The deadline's going to be Thursday.
Okay.
I'm planning the Pro-Am Thursday.
When you get ready to tee up, will you know what your future is with the LIV Tour?
No, I don't think he's going to walk up to me. I don't even know if I'm playing morning or afternoon. But at some point, we're going to talk. Okay. I'm not going to keep TNT in limbo.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I don't think it's fair to them. And you said something interesting. They've gotten plenty of play out of me coming to play up there Thursday.
Yeah.
So I'm not just going to be no show pony. Well, hey, y'all, I got y'all pub for a week. Don't be wasting my time. I'm not going to waste y'all time. But when I leave New Jersey Thursday night, when I leave the golf course, if I don't have an offer in hand, it's over.
Well, it sounds to me like it's over now, that he's going, and the LIV Tour will meet his price. There hasn't been, there's been talk about Phil Mickelson, but that's on the negative side. The side on this, well, there are people who say, oh, Charles, don't do it. This is someone who would really, I think, make them more likable. I said this when this first came out, and if you listen to what Barkley is saying there, he has his price in mind. And he sort of agreed that if they triple what he's making now, and Patrick has a lot of sources. So I think when he says $20 million, he's talked to somebody in the industry who's got a pretty good idea about what Barkley makes. So $60 million, when you're hearing numbers like $200 million being thrown around, and even $500 million when it came to Tiger Woods, who didn't take it, and Tiger can barely play now. He couldn't play 15 events a year, but Charles can certainly broadcast 15 events a year. And if it's $60 million to do that, it sounds like he's going to take it. And, I guess, as they say, it's a free country, and he is fully understanding of the consequences for him personally, not financially, but personally, for doing this. But he's ready to do it. And Barkley has been a guy that has said over the years, oh, come on, get over it. Don't take it so seriously. In this case, he's saying, yeah, I realize you're going to take it seriously. I realize you're not going to like me, but if they come up with a crazy offer, and seemingly to me, $60 million is a crazy offer. Maybe it's not. Maybe he's got another price in mind. But the way that the money's being spent on the LIV Tour, what if he says $100 million? And they say, okay. Yeah, I just don't know. But it's to me, it's kind of sad, but I also understand it. I understand how people take jobs for money. I've never been in a position to really do that. You know, when I've taken another job, sometimes it's been for more money, but it wasn't a situation where I was already making a lot of money and didn't want to leave them. You know, there was a situation where it was opportunity and money. In this particular case, this is not opportunity because he's got the plum jobs. He's got the great commercials. He's got the greatest job in studio history, really. This is the greatest pre and post-game show ever that he does with Kenny and Shaq and Ernie. That's a great show, and he's the star of it, I think. You could argue, you know, but I think he's the star of it. And he's going to take something for money, you know, and far be it from most of us to criticize that, but it sounds like by Thursday afternoon, story will be out. Charles Barkley is leaving to go to the LIV Tour.